My godchild gave me the order to hang a small stained glass window with a clever message on it. The St. Francis of Assisi statue arrived in beautiful white condition. I needed to clarify something, so I contacted the vendor. Their confusion stemmed from the fact that the item they sent me was unrelated to either my item or order number. They told me to keep the fortunate figure and mail the window hanging. They said that a higher power was at work, and that I should contact St. Francis. As long as I was okay with this unexpected gift and turn of events, I said okay. I thought about this gift often and made sure to make room for my favorite living room chair. Francis, what brings you to this place? What exactly should I learn or do? Would you like to share something with me? The date must be in late March or early April because Ohio weather can be unpredictable, ranging from warm and windy to cool and cold. On the morning of the event, the temperature plummeted so low that I had to wear my heavy wool coat. I arrived at work dressed in a winter coat, a dress, and T-strapped heels. I acquired a yellow Ford cargo truck with tinted windows. An automated variant of the engine was a strong Canadian V8. It took some adjusting to the large vehicle's odd blind zones and side mirrors. Driving in a Ford Pinto made the shift scary. This small automobile was able to fit into a fourplex garage because of the brick barriers that separated the tenant parking spaces. Despite having different garage doors, we were roommates on the inside. I pulled into the garage and parked between the brick wall and the brick separator, which is on the far end. I realized my angle was improper as I was backing out of the garage this morning, about 25% of the way out. I immediately parked the van, opened the door, and jumped out to avoid scratching the paint. I circled around to the vehicle's back to see if it needed to be straightened. My return to the driver's side door to unlock it and get inside was cut short when the van accelerated in the direction of the garage, turning gears suddenly. Despite my best attempts, the door of the van was closing too quickly as I sprinted inside. I dove away from the slamming door as it collided with the brick barrier, my heart racing after the near-fatal experience of having my legs amputated. In an attempt to calm myself, I awkwardly leaned on the vehicle. The understanding dawned on me. The vehicle was dragging me into the narrow space between the brick barrier and itself. Nothing I did helped me get free. I was already too intertwined. I called out for aid. Since then, a series of more forceful movements have been bearing down on me. My cries could be heard due to the agony and sorrow I was experiencing. Realizing I had a major brain injury, shattered bones, and who knows what else happened was something I dealt with quickly. I was upset with God because I felt He didn't love me enough when He first knocked me unconscious. Rather than deal with this, I would have preferred not to. After that, I began to worry that my body would fail me. Aside from throwing up, I went to the bathroom to empty my bladder. It was nearly over. Instead of being spiritually resolved to channel my anger in a positive direction, my mental state shifted from wrath towards my father, life, and myself. As my love became stronger, I discovered the strength to forgive. As a result, I realized that I knew this drill well and out. I'd done it countless times. I was able to depart the body through that sensitive spot, much like in a baby's skull. I felt free, happy, and fulfilled. My experience of breaking free from the confines of a physical body, gravity, and shape was liberating. It appeared as if a belt had been removed, a sigh of relief. I then focused my attention on the floor below. Our elderly next-door neighbor was battling to breathe. The van and the brick wall pressed down on my shattered body. Furthermore, I noticed that individuals had come from all around the region. My thoughts wandered to those I care about, and how my death will affect them. I could sense the oncoming horror, remorse, and grief in their hearts. St. Francis of Assisi, true name Kumi, appeared to me after that. Jesus saw a humanoid light vignette surrounded by cherubs in His eternal presence. I admired Him as a mentor and instructor. Unlike our three-dimensional reality, space has no idea of time or language. With me, there was no room for misinterpretation or miscommunication, and a lot of information was freely exchanged. When love and light come together, it is absolutely lovely. I can only give you a summary of this conversation because it varies significantly each time I tell it. My Christo Spirit presence drew my attention back to a critical circumstance that was obstructing my life's journey. For my sake, everything needed to be adjusted and put back on track. As a result, the safety valve was recalled due to this failure. I had to convince my conscious mind that the slipping reversal was neither soul required nor karmically induced. The higher-up's advice was critical in determining whether I wanted this to continue or not. I realized that this path was taking me in the opposite direction of my destination. My own decisions were taking me down a route I had not intended, and I had to face the consequences. I needed to address my alcoholism. Personally, I've been known to drink myself to death on multiple occasions. No matter how confident I was, I couldn't keep things under control. Apathy would set in if I didn't figure out how to reduce my alcohol consumption. I understood why this was so crucial. I could not have agreed more. There were two options accessible to me: return to my existing state of being and reconnect with my body, re-entering the scene below, or be born into a new family and start over. Despite having fractured bones and organs ruptured as a result of the collision's compression force, I made the unthinkable decision to undergo a miraculous recovery. Despite my physical body memory and muscle displacement, medical professionals were perplexed and unconcerned about the reality of what happened to me in terms of present and self-awareness. It did not appeal to me to start anew with parents seeking solutions in mainstream faiths and comparable ideas. I hope this does not come out as arrogant, judgmental, pretentious, or exceptional, because light and love do not possess these characteristics. My decision to return is unaffected by the fact that we are immortal beings with divine origins. This unique opportunity to know for certain has allowed me to be completely honest about how I feel about it, as without it, I would have to return to hoping, wondering, speculating, and mourning. Choosing the second birth choice would have required my parents to instill religious views in me. When I was a kid, I was forced to participate in a recreation of the blind leading the blind. Because I made this decision, I won't have to repeat the process. It is a blessing that I am fully aware of my identity as a spirit in a human body. This profound revelation acts as a spiritual guidance for me. I would cherish this memory, but I would never believe I was merging with God. This decision had an immediate and direct impact on my physical appearance. The driver lost control and the car crashed into the back wall. Others were helping me escape the brick partition. Their goal was to convince me to remove my shoes so I could stand. An ambulance was on its way. My inner coat was destroyed, and my shoes had twisted steel shanks. I was a stinking, torn-up mess. When I returned to my actual body, this intriguing stranger was present. He described himself as a local neighbor who lived about 4 levels down. He appeared to be huddling with me as he stood against the garage wall, wearing a hat that resembled a cap. Do not fight him. After examining my decision and the agreements I had made with Kumi, he informed me that I needed to go to the hospital. I wanted to speak with him about it further because I was astonished, so I invited him over for tea. Even though he said anything when I returned later, we never saw each other again. I was explaining some extraordinary happenings while also expressing how much I needed to sleep at my apartment. Paramedics quickly loaded me onto a stretcher and took me to the hospital, where they prepared for the possible hemorrhage that would follow. That did not happen. I was the happiest person alive, despite the fact that I was near death. While I was in the hospital, the paramedic seated behind me made a statement. Several exams were performed, including complete body x-rays. I remained at the scene all day while the paramedic went to check on me at the hospital. His surprise at how well I was processing the situation sparked some thoughtful discussions between us. My overprotective neighbor, Ike, whom my sister and I had incorrectly identified as our father, had finally let me leave. I felt really weak owing to the massive fluid loss. I stood up and walked out with Ike's assistance, having ordered a glass of orange juice that I was determined to have delivered.